why waste a minute in life, right? So I double down. I sit here and I just hammer the tank out, playing it with 42, Percatoni, and 100-foot skeleton.
Don't forget the acid tracking system.
Interrogation at his ass, anyways. Go back.
Sure, it's my first day as an IT manager, but thanks to the hands-on...
Go back for a minute here, because I prefer this methodology, but it's a little too talky comparatively to sniper school, or how fast this comes up for the causal speed of the limit, the Hamiltonian, hammer side here, or heavy side. You know, most of those concepts are something I or somebody else may want to reference in different conceptual models across the different type of chessboard. Okay, you're going to get into not three-dimensional or four-dimensional, but a very specific type of, well, Hamiltonian, Bell's equality, there you got the exclusionary principle, against what this graphic kind of represents, where you're doing it, when you're doing it, how you're doing it on that book mechanic. Because they keep a very specific graph line. That's usually what you would do. And again, if I had a clip from Percatoni over here, maybe it'd make a little difference of how you could set up this kind of functional model on dismissing something inside here. Drunk off-duty cop. Sure, whatever. These, like I said, it's going to be inside of the functions of the bar at the bar, inside of the situation, because they're going to say something. You wouldn't want that fighting next to you, right there. And it'd be the first thing you're going to click into the Ricci tensor over here, sliding through generally what should be the most common word, but if you don't have the upper limit on those things, you don't generally know what they are. And so you have to first kind of make one here, because there may not be.
This is your focus leader. Adjust the focus
One of these old
until the
schools.
picture is sharp. Now adjust the sound to a normal volume.
Now, I could tell you something about grounding for electrical engineers, and it gets into a beautiful shaking hands with danger conversation, but the schematics are completely different, right? But, you know, we're not talking about the kind of hurt that happens here, but somebody might go out there with the interpretation on a planning line that can happen there while you're fixing and cranking. And, well, you know, then the grounding rod doesn't go in all the way to the ground for some subset of the standard instead of the entirety of the matrix options. There was no reason that this wasn't in that system for what that is.
What if it bumped that control by
What if
accident?
it bumped that control? That would have been in here first move for the differential to the pinout. Now, it is to say fix it on the timeline for the day. That's usually what happens. And it doesn't matter what you're doing with the interrogation and the house on the system. Those are machineries. A lot of them do have studies and principles. You got to think about your options on marketing and banking when you do decide to do drugs, gangs, anything inside of there, the readjustment, because now that that's out there, it starts to be, why did I need it? What is the function of this automation inside of here? A year system being that machine 0 and 1 with whatever safety operator manuals are based on something we can both actually read, or I can program into this machine to do the way I want it to do in terms of figuring out, you know, the calculation, the exceling on this.
Earth-moving machines are designed for safety,
It's heavy.
but they're big enough to
But they're
hide a
built.
man.
No, we can't get the turn off on. Do we go back to the farm and do it
This
by hand
mechanic
now?
is lucky
We
he's
look
able to
outside.
complain.
How many
He
people
should
are
have
there?
protected
How many in
himself
the
by
regional
removing the
system
key
to
and
the...
putting a do not operate tag on the controls.
You know, it's going to say really what's there. What kids are in the region,
Anytime
what
you
system,
pick up a wrench,
what
reach for a
FMA,
control,
well,
use
dropping
a
a ball in
grease
air,
gun,
ball in water,
grab a
ball in
welding
fuel.
torch,
They
or
do
work
come
on
in
any
sectors.
machine.
And if you
While
actually go
forgetting
about
safety,
testing those things,
you're shaking hands
you would
with
see
danger.
proper operational procedures here, even if this was the correct model. We're not saying that this isn't necessarily correct here, or at least not yet.
All right, now you take the loader up behind the hill where they're working. Now I'll drive up on the road and I'll meet you at the top, all right?
Okay, but you know, Cliff,
This-
I never operated this model before.
Right there.
All right, all I have to do is back it up and then let it down nice and easy like. You You want me to do it?
there's a proper way to show somebody to do it. Hey, I've come in with a lot of experience in places, but I'll tell you the first thing is training is absolutely critical with, you know, jumping back on the saws and stuff like that. As much as there's some minor things on here that I'm probably going to do that are out of technique. Usually when it comes to burning rock and stuff like that, one house to the next, and you got to be like, I want to know your system. I want to be able to do the 3-foot law for what that system is with the torch. And when I am good enough with that torch, that's what the differential is there, because then I know that that's the standard model. I might be able to improve the feeds and speeds
was that the operator
in certain ways, but the result's got to be the same system inside of there.
The arms would rise automatically when the engine
inside of the system, graphene filter right there on the internal containment.
Qualified operator would
what it is, because this is also an instant report. Not only that, there's damage on the truck, there's time and serviceabilities inside of here, there's...
Chuck Hamlin is no beginner. Before he begins changing an O-ring on an excavator boom, he checks. Oil temperature down, engine off, bucket grounded, hydraulic lock engaged.
Well,
okay.
If you're not the money to print it, to pour it out of the ground, have the Security D on the high end with this pump inside of there, you know, that's a lot. That's a lot of equipment. I usually factor it like I walk into this thing and think, well, how long do I got to do the operational mining on whatever algorithm starts to come off on a fair contract? And then that generally gives me a time value of what the standard model is and was based on differentials of heat and stuff like that. And, you know, well, 2 pounds a week, 2 pounds of barley over here. Gonna be the differential on some of that there. But most time out there, with bunny season, it's bunny season. And, well, the shiny, heat vex. Anything that's not necessarily, well, we're in here, and that's some real on the operator. Be the program to get out here and do things on timelines, being the last hour of the day when this thing busts out. That is a big difference maker of doing it comparatively to walking way over somewheres. But, you know, temperament guys get us up in there sometimes, and, you know, I don't know if I've been up there, like, a lot of oil, hydraulics, bad day. Another scissor jack out there, can't pull it back to the crew. You know, they're expecting on lines to come inside here, pull out dirt, get that loaded in. There's 10 guys coming in, you know what I mean? That might be that kind of pump. It's not always that way. It seems like a generally smaller crew, and we're going to jump in and out a bunch of them, but it's something that we like to bring up to the interpretation, if we can say. Obviously, we've seen one before, we've heard about one before, it can happen. High falls, grease, oil.
At ground level. Finding that impossible, the next man used the service truck as a safe work platform.
And it's still not necessarily safe, but a tie-in there might be necessary. But then you're into mechanics and tie-ins. Then you're on scissor jacks with a full-on system inside of here for something where you got to turn your hand like this, comparatively to the ones where you're way out there like that. And it takes a bit of, it's an artisan, realistically. Get on there with 3 hands and 2 arms, and Oppenheimer himself would be proud, being the prince out here.
Taking shortcuts is often a quick road to trouble. For example, consider what happened to Harry Sanders.
On the other end of that, like
Harry
I said,
has come to work
go
with a problem.
every nut and bolt nitty gritty inside of there, and it starts to be another kind of monster.
On this morning. Harry wants to finish this job and take a couple hours off.
That's what I love about the test out there. This the Mason's game. It's going to start to be, you know, me, I'm locked up. I am your shadow, dude.
Harry pulls only 1 axle.
You know, anything I can do inside of there to make that safe, where you can make the right decision, so we can do that right. Going beyond it inside of there. 2 people inside of there makes that fast. I can go get the truck, I can go get the thing, he can set up and prep. He can do those things and hopefully polarize the wave function. Oh yeah.
While he waits for the engine to warm, Harry's thoughts drift to worries about his son.
It's another tough one. Dog, girlfriend, husband. Obviously for me, relative perspective.
Feels stiff. So then he checks the feel of the service brakes. His attention is divided. While thinking about his son, his hands and feet go through motions he believes have become automatic. In this absent-minded state, he
certain people you can get away with that stuff. It's fine.
Jams his foot on the
it's
differential lock, and the machine takes
definitely
off.
a machine. Take down the house. Oh, of course these guys. I mean, this is before YouTube and a lot of other stuff. Well, maybe not before YouTube, but before a lot of.
Lucky for the stunned operator, the machine stops itself.
But that never meant it wasn't there. Trucking, shipping, transportation, stock market.
But in a crowded area,
I remember the 80s, what crashes around. I think there was one in 87.
Procedure to save a few minutes work.
Had a couple in 2000 here. Well. Thinking about the kid. Catch you on the next one.